morning to all of you, and welcome to CE Week. What we did this year is we took a successful formula from last year, we expanded it to the entire city and added things, and we're already seeing a doubling of attendance. And with our partnership, we really created something very special. It's an opportunity to showcase products, unveil new products, talk about trends, and talk about the big issues in the industry. I mean, the fact is that after years of economic malaise and a very, very historic recession, which some people call depression, our nation's consumer electronics companies, the CEA members, have continued to bring out some really exciting new products and technologies to the market, and that's been a real boost to the economy. We are a bright spot in a very cloudy economy. I have a more formalized text here because I want to say some very specific things which I think are very important we want to announce and share with you. And we are basically, everything that CEA does has one theme, and that is focused on innovation. Innovation is what ties our industry and our nation together. It is our special sauce as a country, and it is what we do as an industry. We challenge the status quo. So I'm delighted to announce today that through a new partnership with the National Science Foundation, we're creating a very new exciting portion of the upcoming International CES in Las Vegas, and we call it Eureka Park. Now, every great company started with a Eureka moment, and we are building Eureka Park at International CES for small companies looking to gain a foothold in the consumer electronics industry. To exhibit at Eureka Park, companies must demonstrate a technology that can be realized commercially within 3 years, and it must not now be available to consumers. So we just went out to a very small group of potential participants, and about a week or two ago, and within literally a week, we have 28 companies that have signed up. And that number will expand, but we've already exceeded our goal, and it is going forward. What an incredible start. And we hope that you will join us at Eureka Park at International CES in January in Las Vegas, January 10th through 13th. And for those of you that really haven't paid attention yet, there is something also different about this CES. It is Tuesday through Friday. So I know it's different. The advantage of that, it really just follows the calendar, and the advantage of that is that it's 4 business days. It affects the business coverage for those that don't like traveling on weekends. Obviously, it's a different opportunity, and it's pushed back a little bit from the new year, which I know for those of you who are building exhibits and planning, it's a little more breathing space from all the holidays. So and every indication is the CES is going to be amazing. Very strong exhibitor sign up, and of course our website for attending goes live soon, and we're pretty excited about our new look and feel for that. The bottom line is that what CES, CEA, and this event are about innovation. It's not only the CES and events like this are not only for big companies, they're for the smallest startups where a lot of innovation comes from. As you just heard Natalie say, the CEA published a book. It is CEA's book. It's not my book, although I did write it. It's called The Comeback: How Innovation Will Restore the American Dream. I'm absolutely thrilled that it's gotten on the New York Times bestseller list and another list twice. And it talks about some of the key aspects of what we have to do and what we've done as a nation in terms of our innovation past and our innovation future. And it talks about some of the things we have to change. Now, one of the real primary drivers of our innovation as an industry, which is perhaps unique than other industries, is that we've been driven a lot by wireless broadband. Many of the new products and services coming to market in consumer electronics require wireless broadband, making the spectrum crunch one of the most critical technology policy issues we face today. Now, for those of you that don't understand spectrum, since I just did a bunch of TV shows this morning and I have to explain it, spectrum is like waterfront property. There's just so much of it. And right now, obviously, a lot of the best spectrum is being used as it has been for the last 40 or 50 years by broadcasters, television broadcasters, who perform a very important service to the public But what we're confronting is the fact that demand for wireless broadband services have literally exhausted all of the available spectrum. And it's creating a crisis that we can anticipate. And it can only be served by allocating additional spectrum for broadband. And this isn't just Gary Shapiro talking, this is a bipartisan FCC. This is President Obama. In his State of the Union address, he talked about this. And it's the Republicans in the House of Representatives who are talking about it. So this is a bipartisan realization that we have a national problem which we have to address. And it makes sense if you think about it. You know, the smartphones, which didn't exist 5 years ago, consume 24 times the amount of data as traditional cell phones. And tablets, which didn't exist even 2 years ago, use over 100. Actually, the FCC said 122 times the amount of data of a regular traditional cell phone. Indeed, in just the last 4 years, according to AT&T, wireless data traffic skyrocketed 8,000%. That's 8,000%. And some industry analysts forecast a 40-fold increase in the amount that will materialize in the coming years. So with this in mind, the Federal Communications Commission issued a paper last fall illustrating a spectrum deficit of 300 megahertz was likely in just 3 years by 2014. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. The Senate Commerce Committee, under bipartisan leadership and a bipartisan vote, passed a bill this month that would free up spectrum and allow broadcasters to profit from their underused spectrum by voluntarily returning a portion of it to the public, to the FCC for auctioning. And the House of Representatives is also proceeding forward with a broadband bill that will almost certainly or likely include incentive auctions. And these auctions will free up huge swaths of spectrum, up to 300 megahertz, and that's the very deficit the FCC predicts will occur by 2014. So the auctions would also have another benefit. You know, the great thing I love about the Consumer Electronics Association is we don't ask things for ourselves. We don't ask for the government to spend money, but actually this is being looked upon favorably, not only to solve a problem, but to help cure the federal deficit problem, at least for the year that it's scored that way. And that is it's expected to return over $30 billion to the U.S. Treasury, because this is auction which broadcasters got for free for 7-year licenses. They're going to benefit from it even though they got it for free, and yet the excess money is estimated to return over $30 billion to the Treasury. Now, over-the-air television, as I said earlier, is still important. It certainly was once the defining distribution platform, but it just doesn't make any economic sense anymore to use these huge swaths of wireless spectrum only to deliver television to homes, especially given the fact that our research shows that only 8% of American households with televisions rely solely on over-the-air broadcasting to receive TV signals. Now that 8% has been challenged, to be quite frank with you, by the broadcasters, yet we actually got some research from Nielsen this week, and it shows that Nielsen's estimate is 9.6%, which is very close to our 8%. They were talking about 9.6% I think last year, which is within the margin of error for the research we released, so we're very close. It's definitely under 10%, let me put it that way. So only one out of 10 American homes is even relying on the spectrum. Is that a good use for all of those channels all the time? So the remaining television owning households subscribe to cable, satellite, or other multi-channel video providers, and they do not rely on their broadcast. The fact is there's a whole generation of people coming forward that really wants to use their computers, their devices, and things like that, and TV has become, for some of these people, with all respect to my TV set makers, a little bit of an irrelevancy to them. Despite the fact that the number of Americans relying solely on over-the-air television is small, TV stations have been given by the FCC enough spectrum to provide service for 100% of the households. Put another way, broadcasters are sitting on these huge swaths of spectrum that serve very few homes in any particular market, and we need a market-based correction. So, if broadcasters take part in the auction, if the law passes and broadcasters take part, it doesn't mean that TV programming over there is going to end to anyone, and there's been some mistaken news reports about that. The fact is, under any scenario here, every American will have access to over-the-air broadcast television. there'll be not only pay TV and emerging platforms, but there'll be some broadcasters in each market. In fact, the National Association of Broadcasters and CEA together have invested in a company, SyncBack, that uses a tiny sliver of spectrum to authorize delivery of broadcast content over the internet. This is a way to deliver TV that can free up hundreds of megahertz of spectrum, and it's an opportunity for broadcasters to innovate. To be clear, CEA is fine with over-the-air TV if that's what the market supports. But if it does not, spectrum, just like any other natural resource, can be put to better use for the sake of stimulating innovation. And we believe that the best use is to get more Americans faster and more reliable wireless internet connections. And it only makes sense that the amount of local stations broadcasting over the air is more in line with a viewership through that medium. So auctions will provide the broadcasters with a financial windfall, a resource they didn't even pay for. Auctions will free up the spectrum necessary for the next generation of innovation to go forward. And of course, these auctions will bring billions of dollars into our nation's treasury. That's win-win-win. But of course, broadcasters are concerned, and I can understand that. Any change, which is what our industry always does, we change the status quo. Any change to the status quo always upsets an existing interest. And I've focused my entire career on dealing with the fact that our technologies change the status quo for some other powerful industry in Washington. And fortunately, our First Amendment and our policymakers have almost always come down on the favor of innovation, and that's allowed us to succeed as a nation, and our industry to succeed. Of course, for decades, broadcasters have enjoyed laws and regulations that support their business model, such as network non-duplication, must-carry regulations, and retransmission consent that permit them to charge pay TV providers over $1 billion a year. And they feel entitled to the spectrum that belongs to government. If you ask a broadcaster, do you own the spectrum, they will say, yes, we do. Even though it's a loan, they never paid for it. But we have to ask, with several broadcasters in each market, is this the best use of the spectrum? Ubiquitous internet access and broadband competition can be viewed as a more laudable goal. As I said earlier, innovative technology is undeniably disruptive. And rapidly developing home health care and education applications, as well as applications to make life better, may be superior to big, valuable pipes full of infomercials and reruns. And there's a lot of broadcasters in each market. That's what they do. It's infomercials and reruns. It's not original creation of local content. So wireless policy should embrace change in the interest of much-needed economic growth. And we really have to stop talking about some nostalgic notion of what the world was once like. It's time to embrace innovation for what it is. It's a disruptive and at times uncomfortable, but yet very necessary force that propels us forward. Indeed, a few weeks ago, the FCC issued a report on the state of our media, and while finding a decline in local news, the report also highlighted how the internet has enabled an unprecedented free exchange of ideas and information. So while finding a decline in local reporting, the FCC said we should push for universal broadband to help online businesses thrive. And spectrum is the lifeblood of innovation, and as more and more smartphones are in the hands of consumers, new industries are created that we couldn't even have dreamed of a decade ago. From app downloads to online videos, Twitter, Facebook, we all rely on ubiquitous wireless connections. And here's another statistic which is just mind-boggling and compelling. More video is uploaded in YouTube in 60 days than the average 3 major TV networks created in 60 years. 60 years of networks versus 60 days of YouTube. Online video is just one of the many areas of impressive internet growth, and we must not ignore this trend. In the future, new services will deliver us more unbelievable innovations in content, and perhaps there will be a service that helps shore up the news business. But all of that, including the building of new, faster networks capable of more traffic, does depend upon and just assumes that there'll be hundreds of megahertz of spectrum coming online. And as a nation, I think we have to look at this in the overall policy and our strategy of innovation. We have to resist what some other countries are pushing. I was in Paris a few weeks ago at the EG8 summit at the invitation of French President Nicolas Sarkozy, and there he delivered to me and my colleagues in the tech world from around the world a plea that nations regulate the internet to preserve political boundaries, because they're so concerned as politicians that the internet is taken away, is eroded. He also wanted to regulate the internet for a whole bunch of protectionist purposes. Indeed, in France, you're not even allowed to say Twitter or Facebook on radio or television. And why is that you compare France and the United States? Well, the United States is the leader in the internet, there's no question. We've also had a government that's traditionally protected consumers against the government rather than consumers against business. It's very different in Europe, where Europe protects their consumers against business with very broad, very randomly enforced laws. So it's very difficult to start a business in Europe and do the type of things that we've done here with the internet. So we have been a bulwark also, again, for free innovation, and we also, thanks to the First Amendment, been a bulwark against censorship, which is not true in other countries. So, but we are concerned because our government is seeking and asserting broad powers to take down websites it doesn't like with very little or no judicial process. And there's good reasons that they're being claimed, whether it's for child pornography or for intellectual property violations. But if you read every day, there's new legislation or proposals in Congress, and some of which are moving, which gives the government authority to just quickly take down websites without a real process. And also, they have some existing powers, and we keep reading very frequently about how hundreds of businesses are pulled offline mistakenly. We just heard about one this week, because the government, when they shut down websites, they shut down a lot more than the one website they might have intended. We even had, I think, over 50,000 websites were pulled down for 3 days, and the websites, legitimate businesses, were branded as child pornographers. So we have to be very careful that we protect businesses against our own government's efforts to develop new powers. This discourages innovation, it hurts legitimate businesses and consumers, and it sends the wrong message to the tyrannical regimes abroad about all of them. If you think about the Arab Spring and others who used our technologies and the internet to spread their pro-democracy messages. Of course, in terms of getting more spectrum, this isn't just about more spectrum for the big carriers. The legislation that passed the Senate committee, fortunately for our industry, which is what we are seeking, also set apart 120 megahertz for unlicensed spectrum. Unlicensed spectrum means that anyone can use it. It's the kind of great stuff that allowed great miracles of technology like the garage door opener, family radio, and other really cool technologies we've come to rely on. Baby monitors, for example, which some of us still use, remote control helicopters, Wi-Fi. This is great technology, and it just creates innovation in ways we can't anticipate. It's so important for the future of the consumer electronics industry. So consider this. Once we were dependent on a wired communication to our computer, but Cisco forecasts by 2015, traffic from wireless devices will exceed traffic from wired devices. Now, many of you remember 10 to 15 years ago, it was the worldwide wait because the broadband service was very slow for our wired devices. If we don't get additional spectrum, we will get the worldwide wait again for all our wireless devices. It proves that we often don't know who, what, when, where, or how innovation comes to us. It just does. And it's incumbent upon all of us as an industry that we have a forward-looking policy environment that centers on fostering that innovation. So we urge the Congress to pass the legislation before them to allow broadcast spectrum to be sold in the free market and to free up additional spectrum for unlicensed use. It's a crucial step to moving our economy forward. I hope you'll agree with me that innovation is everything in America. Because this morning, today, I'm announcing to you, and we are introducing a new component of CEA's innovation movement. And it involves all of you. You're familiar with the Declaration of Independence? We learned about it in school. Well, today we enhance that with a slight twist, and we call for the Declaration of Innovation. We anticipate the upcoming July 4th holiday, and we celebrate the founding of our great nation, open to immigrants, with freedom for all. We ask you to sign on to the Declaration and declare that innovation is and should continue to be a key national priority and a strategy for our nation. We're unveiling the Declaration of Innovation today, and let me tell you exactly what it says. It's a lot shorter than the old one. And I've read the old one. There's a lot of stuff in there that is really interesting, including free trade. But this one says, "We, the people of the United States of America, hold these truths to be self-evident, that great innovators drive America's unsurpassed economic success, that innovation creates jobs, markets, and industries where none existed before, and that innovation moves us forward as a nation, pushing us to succeed and to strive for a better tomorrow. Staying true to our legacy and our obligation to the life, liberty, and happiness of future Americans, we hereby declare that innovation is and should be a key national policy and a strategy for our nation. We urge policies that promote innovation. We believe American innovators should be able to buy and sell their products around the world. We believe that more spectrum must be available for wireless broadband. We believe in welcoming the best and the brightest minds to the United States, and we believe in cutting the federal deficits. Americans create valuable inventions, content, and ideas, and to continue this storied tradition and solidify the prospects for future generations, we must return innovation to its rightful place at the center of America's economic policy. Today I pledge my commitment to innovation and my support for the policies that ensure innovation remains the strategic advantage of the United States of America. And that's exactly what I'm asking for all of you today. Pledge your commitment to innovation and pledge your support for the policies that create innovation and ensure that it remains the strategic advantage of our nation. The Declaration of Independence was signed 235 years ago with a quill pen and a jar of ink. Today, thanks to American innovation, you can sign CEA's Declaration of Innovation on your tablet, on your smartphone, on your PC. You can sign on the website, declareinnovation.com. That's declareinnovation.com. Or you can sign in via the Innovation Movement on Facebook. You know, we have come so far as a nation, but we have further to go. So we ask you to join us in declaring your commitment to innovation, and please tell others to do the same. Use your Facebook page, use your website, do anything you can, because we have a future together as a country, and we owe our kids a future that's at least as good as our present. And we need everyone on board to be able to restore the American dream. Thank you very much.